is a coup to get the men and women who are running the government machinery, to join us on a single platform here today. So let me start by getting the secretaries here to talk about the present situation. There was euphoria when this government came to power. Everybody thought, achhe din aa gaye hain, and now the mood is turning a little bit cautious. Let me get the secretaries to talk about the general mood and the general environment as far as the economy is concerned before we talk specifically about Make in India. Mr. Kant, let me start by asking you. As I pointed out, there was euphoria that overnight this government is going to come in and be able to reverse a lot of the wrongs that this government claims the previous government had done, that they will be able to change the climate and change the mood. Yes, investor sentiment has changed. Yes, the mood is a lot more confident than it was 6 months ago. But have things really changed on the ground? And is this really an issue now of expectation management?
There's still a lot of enthusiasm. There's still a lot of vibrancy. There's still a lot of dynamism. A number of things have been done. A number of things are work in progress. I personally feel that this government hasn't done anything wrong till now as far as the economic front is concerned. It's done a lot of right things. It's focused very, very strongly on ease of doing business in terms of scrapping processes, procedures. And I think if India is going to have sustained growth of high rates over a long period of time, India must become a far more easier place to do business. We had made it too complex and complicated. It's opened up FDI in a vast range of areas. Railway, which was unthinkable. Defense, it's deregulated almost 60% of the item. It has enhanced FDI inflows. Construction, very easy entry and exit, vast number of areas. It's focused also on infrastructure. There's a lot of work in progress. I mean, a lot of work in progress in terms of GST. There's a lot of work, Gauri has done a lot of work around labor. Yeah. There's a lot of work in progress around labor, land acquisition. So to my mind, there's a lot of work in terms of progress in terms of consistency and predictability of tax policy as well. To my mind, this government hasn't done anything wrong, but there are a number of legacy issues. And legacy issues in terms of land, in terms of tax, are very, very complex, very difficult. You'll have to give this government some more time.
Okay, you're saying this government is bang on track, and it's nice to see that the government and the bureaucracy is talking in one voice for a change. And Mr. Kant, several times over, you kept saying that it's work in progress, whether it's labor reforms, and I'll get to the labor secretary in just a second as far as labor is concerned. On several reforms, the GST bill has been tabled in Parliament today. The passage, of course, is unlikely in this session. Is that what is keeping investors at bay?
A couple of issues. One, FDI inflows are about almost 30% higher. Same period as compared to the previous year. To my mind, we need to kickstart some major projects. We need to kickstart some big-ticket investments across roads, across corridors. I think the government needs to find adequate resources, cutting across subsidies into hard infrastructure sector. I think we need to give the government a lot of more, the private sector a lot of more confidence by government kicking in, rolling out contracts. That's critical to my mind.
How possible is that? And I interrupt you because the government today has said that 4.1% in terms of the fiscal deficit target is a challenging target, and they've conceded pretty much that it is going to be achieved only if you curb expenditure, which is what the last government did. So on the back of that, this big business of infrastructure spending, how realistic is it?
To my mind, you'll have to redo the budget because there's too much of flow of subsidies. I think the country needs now focus on infrastructure. It needs to really kickstart economy in a very big way. I think the second issue to my mind is that we need to bring in as far as taxation issues are concerned, there are no fresh cases since this government came in, but there are huge number of legacy cases with reference to transfer pricing, with reference to withholding of taxes, with reference to retrospective cases. I think you need to have a fast-track mechanism to set that right. It's very difficult for international companies sitting in their boardrooms to allow fresh investments to take place if there are tax issues. And I think we need to You can't allow cases to go through the legal way in the normal manner. You need to create a really fast-track mechanism for that.
Okay, and that National Tax Tribunal, that was the idea that the government had. Unfortunately, that's been struck down by the Supreme Court. In fact, just to highlight what you're saying, and this is, no stranger to FICCI, Rajiv Kumar today saying that the CBDT will scare away investment if it's allowed to pursue witch hunts on businesses. Rajiv K, the Commerce Secretary, let me ask you, sir, Amitabh Kant here talking about drawing in investments, talking about predictability, certainty, and so on and so forth. Let's just look at the Make in India theme, since that's what we're ostensibly discussing here today. Let's look at the idea of trying to push manufacturing to 25% of GDP, which, by the way, was the target of the UPA government as well, and was unsuccessful. Currently, the share of manufacturing to GDP at about 16%. Let's look at only one aspect of the special economic zones, an idea that was floated by the previous government, and now instead of people queuing up for special economic zones, you have people queuing up to denotify special economic zones. Why can't the Commerce Ministry and the Finance Ministry get its act together as far as what you intend to do with special economic zones are concerned?
Well, thank you. First of all, to respond to your last point that you mentioned, why can't we see together towards a common objective? Let me tell you that the relationship between the Department of Commerce and Department of Revenue very often used to be very adversarial. But now I get more letters from my friend Secretary Department of Revenue promoting SEZs rather than my writing to him.
So has he agreed on your MAT demands, sir? Have you managed to convince him on your MAT demands?
Let me complete. That was the first point. Now clearly SEZs, there is a lot to be done. There is a lot to be done. MAT DDT is just one aspect, very important aspect. MAT DDT is an issue which needs to be addressed through the budget process. We can't preempt that process. We will have to wait till that point, and that's what we will do. But there are a whole lot of other issues which need to be addressed. And two or three issues which have been immediately addressed. One is, of course, which is a signal, which is an indicator, dual use of infrastructure which is created in non-processing areas. Now, this is something which was recently notified. And which is going to be notified. I'm sorry, it's not been notified, but we have reached a decision. Now, this is a clear indicator of the fact that we are talking in terms of optimizing infrastructure which is created in SEZ.
Okay.
And obviously, we are doing it to make SEZs workable. There is a significant amount of work which has been done on the issue of procedures and processes in SEZ. And if you go to an SEZ, you will see a distinct difference now. There is a whole lot of other things. I think the important thing is that how do we conceptualize SEZs? The SEZ-DTA relationship.
Right.
I think that is important because in the context of what Amitabh mentioned earlier, if you are talking of SEZs as manufacturing zones, not exclusively promoting exports alone, but manufacturing in India, I think we need to look at, in a much more comprehensive manner, the relationship between the SEZ and the domestic territory. I think that is very important. So you need to look at a much larger bouquet of issues.
Okay, let me come across to the Labour Secretary. Ma'am, the Labour Laws exemption from furnishing returns and maintaining registers by certain establishments Amendment Bill of 2011 has been passed. So congratulations on being able to get that done. What more can we really expect?
What we have done is we are trying to look at labour laws in two ways. One is governance reforms, which is doable, which we can do right away. And the other is legislative reforms. Now, on governance reforms, we personally believe that, our ministry believes that there's a lot that can be done. The portal that we have inaugurated on 16th of October, the Prime Minister did, the portal actually gives 16 labour acts which are in central sphere. You can have a single, on a portal, you can go once, and you can actually give a return which is a simplified return. Some people were asking me, what is the size of the return? I said 5 pages against the 90 pages that we used to have.
Okay.
The inspection report, more importantly, the inspections are now based on an algorithm which is risk-based algorithm. It's not that the inspections are done away with, but the inspections would be randomly generated on a computer, and they'll have to be uploaded by the inspectors within 72 hours of doing this. And I'm very happy to say that, on 16th of October, we did that, and by now, I think about 20,000 inspections have happened in that manner, and 16,000 have actually been uploaded. So everybody who gets a LIN, labor identification number, is able to actually see what's happening. So sometimes the cost of transaction or cost of compliance is very high because the externalities that inspection regime brings in, the inspection Raj or whatever you call it by.
Sure.
So we believe that I think the Shram Suvidha portal together with the inspection scheme, and let me also say, a number of times, we say that we have 44 labor acts. It's a pity we do have 44 labor acts, and a dozen others in the state sphere. What we are doing is we are very closely working with the state governments, and I'm very optimistic that by the time Amitabh's deadline of 31st March comes, that we'll have certain states on board also joining the portal so that we can have a single point convergence of all of these. We are also working at this moment with PAN and SIN, so that we could have, rather than having a labor identification number, we have a common identification number and common registration.
Okay, let me get the Defence Secretary into this conversation, sir. As far as FIPB proposals are concerned, the defence sector is a sector where we actually have seen clearances coming in. Can you give us a sense of how many have been cleared? What is the total value in terms of the projects that have been cleared?
See, at this point of time, I will not be able to give you the full picture of what is emerging. But I can say that I have seen I've seen excellent prospects of FDI flowing in, because a large number of the companies in the advanced countries who want to make in India. This Make in India has actually caught their imagination, and a large number of companies are interested in. I don't mean companies, the ordinary type of companies. I'm thinking the high-end companies who are really interested in producing high-value products. They are interested in to come to India.
Okay.
But these dialogues are going on, because every day we keep meeting somebody, and in fact I met a couple of people yesterday also.